Anybody else needs a sign-in sheet? Already got it, did you? I'm gonna kill myself just getting up.
Too many legs over there.
I really like sitting there. I didn't want to get up.
Too many legs.
I thought you were going to fly over there.
Me too there for a second.
Airmail delivery.
Foot kept looking for the ground.
Looks like it's 6:30, so we'll call the meeting to order. So I'm going to stand and we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Becky Rose, you want to do the roll call?
Yep, Mark Smith,
Here.
Jeff Downey, Norman Stockton,
Here.
Russ Erickson,
Here.
Steve Rose, Walter Abbott,
Here.
Shandy Gatton, Betty Jasper, Sharon Burns,
Thank you. Shows that most people are all here. So then the next item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes from the February 12th, 2015 meeting. We all have a copy of those. I looked over them. Didn't have any questions on it, so. Motion to approve. Motion to approve. We have a second. A second. We have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Minutes. That brings us down to old business. I don't think I have any old business right in hand right now, do we? No, so we'll go right on into our new business. The zoning map for the town hall.
Yeah. I enclosed one, just so you guys can see what I have to look at when people come in and ask for zoning. And also, a lot of times people come in and they want to look at this, and they just hand it back to me and say, just, can you tell me what it's zoned? And we have people that come in and want to see one on the wall, and there's not. So I stuck it on there just to see what you guys thought about looking into a easier to read, maybe, map down the road. It just make it a little easier on me, and when people come in and they want to like see for themselves.
It is pretty hard to read.
I agree. She handed this to me. I handed it back.
Well, you know, and the older people, we
Well, we do have a magnifying glass that I offer, but they just handed it back to me.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But you think, I saw your note, I think it's a good idea, once we get into the new facility there in the town hall, if we could have one a lot larger on this building. So, you know, you can come in and you can just walk over to this, like this is what we don't have now. So we'll look into it and see what we can do on that thing.
I would appreciate it.
I'm going to jump down to, third item here is 420 West Washington. I guess we need to interpret the zoning ordinance.
Yeah. This is really the reason why we needed to convene a meeting this month. And I'm going to have to try to explain this. It's kind of confusing. Ultimately, then I'm going to suggest that you, as the Planning Commission, initiate some changes to the zoning ordinance and zoning base map that may ultimately solve a couple of problems. One, it'll address the issue we need to discuss with regard to this property, but we ought to, I think, in that process, sort of redesign the map in a way that does make it a little more user-friendly. The property at 420 West Washington is the very last property as you're going out of town on the north side of the street. It's a triangular shaped paved lot. It was a barber shop for a long time. It still had a little building there. There was a request submitted to the zoning office by a fellow who wants, is that you? Mr. Dinkins? Correct. Okay. By Mr. Dinkins, who has proposed using it as a used car lot. And in order to get the license he needs from the state, he needs to submit an application that includes verification from the local jurisdiction that that is a permitted use on the property from the zoning strange because my understanding from everyone I've talked with is that property's been used for commercial purposes forever. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know whether there was some prior variance granted or something. So, but we haven't found any. Becky has looked, Joellen has looked. I don't suppose the property owners have anything they can present in the way of a variance that shows that.
Well, I got from the appraisal report that it was commercial. I don't know what I have done, willing to turn it all over.
Well, but that doesn't, it's certainly been used for commercial purposes. But unless there was some variance granted that permitted that use despite the zoning, then what some third party tells us doesn't really help us. So here's the problem. One of them, it's zoned residential. The request is that it be used for commercial uses. And it can't be unless there's some extraordinary relief granted. The other issue we have is under the town zoning ordinance, the use auto sales is not listed in any place. And again, I don't know why. This ordinance was drafted in 1989. And under the terms of the ordinance and under the terms of the Indiana statute, if a use is not specifically permitted under a zoning ordinance, then it is prohibited. So it's not the case that a use that isn't listed is considered a permitted use. It's just the opposite. It has to be in there. It has to be specifically listed. Or under the town zoning ordinance, you can't do it. So with regard to this particular request, we have someone wanting to use the property as a used car lot. Auto sales, used, new, or sales of any kind just isn't listed. And they're wanting to conduct a used car lot on that property that is zoned residential. And clearly, though it's not under the zoning ordinance anywhere, I think we all know from a practical matter, that's a business use. It's not a residential use, right? So we got a couple of problems. The property, or Mr. Jenkins, I think his choices are, if he's going to try to address this on his own, to petition the Planning Commission, all of you, to amend the zoning ordinance to include auto sales as a use that isn't included now. And to rezone this property to a zoning classification that would fall under, which would be some commercial zoning, so that it is properly zoned for that use. The other option would be to petition the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance. And that process is going to the Board of Zoning Appeals and saying, your zoning ordinance doesn't allow me to do what I want to do on the property, but will you give me sort of a special exception to that? Will you allow me to anyway, despite the fact that the ordinance doesn't say I'm allowed to? I mean, that's up to the Board of Zoning Appeals to decide. It's not up to you to decide. The Board of Zoning Appeals is supposed to look at certain statutory criteria in deciding variances, and that is, will it adversely affect the community? Is it a use that is consistent with the area and won't adversely affect property values? Is this a situation that's been brought on by the petitioner themselves? Is it undue hardship if it's not granted? I think not having a vote, not being able to predict what the Board of Zoning Appeals would do, I don't think it's the kind of request for which a variance ought to be granted. In my opinion, I think we ought to fix it a different way. I think what this has done, and I realize it creates a unique problem for Mr. Jenkins, but I think from the town standpoint, what it has done has shed a light on the problem that we have. I think we have property, as we're heading out of town, that is zoned R5 residential, is being used for commercial purposes, and ought to be used for commercial purposes. Except for the property at the intersection, which is a used car lot, ironically. Every property from the used car lot that exists there now at the intersection to the west is zoned residential. The post office is zoned residential. The stone house, the rock house is zoned residential. The next property is zoned residential. So here's the thing. I mean, I can sit here and tell you about the problem. I don't have any idea how it came to be that those properties have been used for non-residential uses. I don't know whether at the time all of that happened, the powers that be in the town of Morgantown just didn't pay any attention to it, whether some of those folks got variances and we can't find them. I don't know. I don't know. And so, you know, we can spend a lot of time talking about how did this happen, and we can try to search through archives of the town and piece it all together and all. My guess is we're going to spend a lot of time doing it, and we're not going to get an answer. My suggestion is, rather than looking back at what maybe has gone wrong, we ought to spend our energy looking forward and just fixing it. We know that when Dan Batt, who was a professional planner, I guess we all know who that is, was hired by the town a couple of years back, what he was supposed to have done was rewrite the zoning ordinance and the zoning map. He created a zoning map that called for these properties out here to be rezoned to commercial, but it never got across the finish line with it. So we may have a map that's been drawn, but what I think the town expected when they embarked upon that process was to get a new zoning ordinance and a new zoning map that would serve the town better and clean up some of these things, and it didn't happen. So here we are now, the first time since then, that we're kind of forced to look at it because we've had someone come to us and say, I want to do something on this property. And we look at our records and say, you know what, you can't. So, if the Plan Commission is so inclined, here's one way to get at this. The Plan Commission could initiate a petition to amend the town zoning ordinance, to add to the zoning ordinance as a permitted use auto sales. And I would suggest that that be new car and used car auto sales as a use, because it's not in there now. And that use be included under the general business C2. We have a neighborhood service district C1 zoning classification. And it's described as a district to provide for small-scale commercial uses to serve residential neighborhoods. And under that C1 district, automobile repair and service stations are listed, but only if they are given a special approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So in other words, if someone would want to do auto repair or a service station in C1, they'd have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and get another layer of approval. It's subject to review to kind of make sure that the way those uses are conducted are not adversely affecting the other businesses and the other properties that are close by. So I suppose we could list automobile sales under there too. I don't know that automobile sales is any more intensive or adverse in its effect to surrounding properties than repair is, right? I mean, that's, or a auto service station or a convenience store or something like that is probably higher traffic and probably more distracting and ultimately a more intense use than what automobile sales would be. So I think my suggestion is we would include automobile sales alongside automobile repair and automobile service stations, wherever those uses now appear in the ordinance. And under the C1 zoning classification, they'd have to have a special approval for auto sales, just like those other uses are required to have now. And then under C2, which is a district established to provide a wide variety of retail and commercial uses, that it would just be a permitted use. That's just something that could be done without any conditional approval. Although, under the current zoning ordinance, automobile service stations and repair shops require that special exception use too. I'm not necessarily, what we need to do is just to help Mr. Jenkins, but it will. But I think we need to fix this because this has brought it to light and because we anticipate other things like this coming along. So if we include automobile sales and list it alongside automobile repair and service shops with the same requirements and development standards that they have, would that make sense to everybody? But that's a use that ought to go alongside those. Okay? Then the other thing that you can do, and I think need to do, is amend the map. So what we have is a zoning ordinance that is a written text. It's a document that describes zoning classifications, development standards, and procedures for approvals. And the development standards are the lot size and the setback and the size of the building relative to the size of the lot and what types of uses are permitted and what types of properties and all that sort of thing. So that's the rule book. But then we also have the map, which assigns to every property in town a certain zoning classification. So that it is R5 residential or R10 residential or R40 residential or C1 or C2 or manufacturing 1 or manufacturing 2 or mixed use or whatever. But if this is done correctly, every property in town is labeled with a particular zoning classification. And whatever label that has, when you take that label and then you look at it in the zoning ordinance, you can see what is permitted on that property based on that classification and this set of rules. So I would suggest that we also amend the zoning map. And at the very least, that the properties from the intersection at Washington and, you call that Morton? What's that street? Marion. I can't read it. Washington, Marion. That everything, that all the properties, I'll probably, well, certainly the properties on the north side of the road all the way to the edge of the town would be rezoned to C1 or C2. But as I look at this, I'm looking at all the property south, and it's all R5 too. I guess where the IGA is R5.
Look,
Is that right?
yeah, that's what the map shows
Yeah.
here. It's like the bills, non-marked.
Yeah.
Well, they got nothing.
Well, it's
Okay,
mixed.
that's new.
It's an MXD district. But see, when you ask those, I don't know the answer to the question of how it got to be the way it is.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, there is no mechanism when we look at the zoning map, there is no way to say to Mr. Jenkins, it's okay. I mean, nobody has any administrative authority. Becky or Mark or Tim or nobody else can say, well, this is the ordinance and this is the map and it says it's residential. But we've been doing it for years, it's been done wrong before, so go ahead. I mean, we can't do, we don't have any discretion to do that. So we need to fix it. And I think with regard to the map, that's a bigger project than, we're not looking at just one property. We really need to kind of complete what Dan Batt was hired to do. And, when people do come into the town and Becky shows them a map, it needs to make some sense. And so, I think we need to start down that road and try to get this done. And it may be the case that we'll find that part of what Dan Batt did was drove through a map that fixed this, but it never got adopted. And so we'll pull it out and we'll look at it. And so to start that process, what I would suggest is, if you're wanting to do this, is we could prepare a petition to amend the zoning ordinance to add auto sales as a use. And have it ready to present at your next meeting. We have to hold a public hearing, we have to provide public notice. Ultimately, it's just a very small amendment. It's just adding the use to unrealistic to think that whatever needs to be done with this map can be done and presented and approved at your next meeting. My sense is this may be something that takes 2 or 3 meetings to get done. And we may have a bit of a head start because part of it has been. So, I think that's what you need to do. Back to Mr. Jenkins, on the one hand, I'm not his attorney, I'm not here making his case. On the other hand, you're all pretty nice people. And I don't think we necessarily want to hold up anybody who plans to do something if there's a way to accommodate what they're trying to do. And I don't have a vote, and I'm not trying to necessarily encourage you to speed this process along because somebody has a request in the hopper right now. But if, as a part of this effort, we also make changes that allow him to do what he's seeking to do, I don't know that that does the town any harm. So then the issue back to him is, if we're looking at a comprehensive change to the map to kind of redo the whole thing, I think that's probably several months. If you were inclined to simply amend the map for now to rezone the property that he's wanting to use to a commercial zoning classification, we could do that and then amend the map again, so that we actually get it right. If we say, well, we're going to do this and we're going to take the time and we're going to study it and it's going to take 6 months, there is no way to say to him, you can begin conducting a use car lot on that property while we're doing it. We don't have the discretion to say, we all understand this is going to get done and it's going to be 6 months now, so just go ahead. We just can't do that. It's just not within the powers you have to say we know the change is coming, so let's just pretend like it already. We can't.
I need to borrow someone's part of the driveway because the town council has asked Dave Whitaker for the lot for front water today, and I've got 22 of them sitting there now.
22 cars?
That's on another one.
Oh, yeah.
I get another question. I get the people that have homes there now, the Rock House, and then two other.
Is that a home?
Does that change?
Oh, yeah, it's a bed and breakfast.
It's a home.
Again, on the other, I see what Norton's saying.
Business, but
I mean, if we're talking about what
Business.
looking at what happens into the existing.
well, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you here. The problem we're going to run into, if we don't do this thing right, I think we have 2 pieces of property there right now that are for sale. One of them has a storage facility on it, and the other one is used to be a medical clinic. And, so we got to get this thing straightened up. I don't know if there's a quick fix for Mr. Dinkins. And then, like you're saying, we're just going to continue to run into this. Right?
Well, I don't know. We've gone a long time without running into it.
Yeah.
But
It's been a while since somebody.
I think to respond to kind of both questions, to rezone the property out there, say where the Rock House is, to a commercial classification, that doesn't mean that if it's being used now as a residence, it can't continue to be used as a residence. What it does is expands the scope of uses, not really limits. I think a residential use is permitted in commercial, and if it's an existing use at the time we amend the zoning ordinance, then it's a pre-existing use, and we can't apply the ordinance retroactively. What it would do, though, if it's a single-family residence now, is that at some point, if someone wanted to use the property for a use that was permitted under the commercial zoning that it would become, then they would already be approved for that. And you think of that corridor going through town, the 135-252 corridor, right through Main Street, that is bordered on both sides by businesses. Are we also surprised to learn that that's zoned residential now? I mean, wouldn't you all have assumed that that's a commercial zoning already? Because it's been used that way for so long.
For a lot of years. It's just a one-room building with a bathroom.
Yeah.
That was it's cut here and there for years. About the, now, are we looking at anything on the south side?
Well, I think as I look at this map, I think you're going to want to. And so I don't think we ought to do this and not actually make enough progress that we've accomplished something. I think we ought to try to make it as good as we can make it. And I don't know, I mean, we're not looking at 100 acres of rezoning. We're talking about a pretty small area.
7.8 acre. Less than an acre.
No, I'm talking about the whole town.
I'm sorry.
But I think we ought to have our zoning kind of aligned with what either the uses are and have been, or what we feel pretty certain they're going to be. And I don't imagine the properties that front on 252 are going to be single-family residences. They are now. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have a commercial corridor through every town there. You have a main street. You have a business district. And that's what this property has been. And for some reason, like I say, I don't know. I don't know the story. I just know, as we sit here tonight, the zoning map that is in effect says it's R5 residential. The zoning ordinance in effect says you can't have a business in R5 residential. I mean, I didn't create this problem, but it's a bit like we're taking a snapshot in time and looking at a still photo and the motion picture that has been running from back 50 or 60 years ago, that we not going back and watching the movie, because I don't know if we can find it anymore. So, like I said earlier, I think we need to understand what the issues we have, and we need to start moving forward and clean them up. And the extent to which you want to act faster with regard to this property, because we have someone who's wanting to do something with it sooner rather than later, there's nothing wrong with you doing that. The other way we could approach it would be to say, if you want to file a petition to rezone your property, you can. That's your problem, file a petition. But ultimately, it's the same procedure. I mean, I guess the sort of graceful thing, the generous thing that the planning commission could do would be to say, we'll initiate it, because we want to fix it too, as opposed to saying to you, here's how you file a petition, file one. Whether you initiate it, you may pay a filing fee or something like that, or the planning commission initiates it. It's the same notice requirements, it's the same public hearing requirements, and ultimately the decisions to be based on the same criteria. And part of me, this is sort of personal opinion, part of me thinks because for whatever reason the town owns this confusion, and ultimately we have to take it on ourselves for it having gotten to be this way. It's okay for us to take it upon ourselves to initiate the fix, as opposed to saying to Mr. Dix or anybody else, yeah, it's a mess, but you're going to have to see to it it gets fixed. We'll be here, but we're not going to act. We're not going to initiate change. We'll just be here if you want to try to initiate it. And you can take that position, but
If we do that, and figure out a quick fix for Mr. and take our time and do the rest of it right. I don't think, like you're saying, we need to do a quick fix there because we just put something on jump up at us again. If we do that, we will be prepared to, if somebody comes to us next week on something else, we're prepared to explain our position. Okay, now to do a quick fix. I know you explained it, but you also explained a lot of other things. What would we have to do?
okay. I think that you would decide tonight, by a motion and a vote taken, majority vote, to initiate an application, a set alongside automobile service and automobile repair shops and automobile service stations. That wherever those uses appear now, and whatever the development standards are with regard to those, the rules as they apply to those uses would apply to automobile sales just the same. And we would have that petition in written form ready to go to present to you at your October meeting. And I would see to it that notice of that would be a public hearing at your meeting, and the proper notice would be sent so that all could be done at that meeting, and if you're inclined, you could approve it. You vote and approve it at your October meeting, then what that really is a recommendation to the town council. It is an ordinance. So the town council is the body who has to adopt it. What you would be doing if you approve it at your October meeting would be saying to the town council, we're forwarding on an ordinance to you. We recommend that you approve it. The town council then, as quickly as the first Monday in November at its regular meeting, could approve it. And at that point, the ordinance is amended, that use is an approved use, and that much of it's done. But that's as fast as it can happen. And along with that, sort of a petition parallel to it, submitted at the same time on the same time schedule, would be an amendment to the zoning map to rezone Mr. Dinkins' property. I would suggest a C2, because I don't think it's supporting residential. I think it's a little bit on the outskirts of town and is a more intense commercial use in any case. So that could be done all at the same time too. And that's as much as you could do to get at this.
So we're going to, if we want to do that, we're going to have a motion, and we have to adopt it, and then it comes back in October.
Then the actual ordinance itself would be in written form ready to be acted on right here in October.
All right, and then the town council votes on it, and we're ready to go in November.
Yes. And then I think we would continue the conversation about looking at the map with the rest of the town to see how it needs to be amended to kind of make sense with either how property is being used now or how you contemplate property being used in the future.
So you're renting that property?
Sorry.
Are you leasing the property, or are you buying?
Purchased it.
You're buying,
And I learned a valuable lesson before you purchase any, what you're told is commercial property, just to hire a lawyer. It's mine, and I've been cleaning it up and
Who told you it was commercial?
who told me it's commercial? The appraiser and Steve Gottlieb.
the guy don't.
I have an appraisal on it from the past, but the bank ordered a new appraisal, Peoples, and it says it's commercial. Everybody's assuming it's commercial because it was
It's not an assumption.
a pizza shop and a car wash.
It's not an assumption.
He's, in the water, it's
Can
still
help you, Lou.
commercial, so, as well as.
Yeah, but understand that there's either how it's been used, how it's been developed, that's commercial. I don't think anybody disputes that. You all driven by there and seen it, you know how it's actually zoned on the zoning map. And so, does it have commercial potential as commercial use? Is it commercial? It has a commercial account because it was commercial uses. It begs the question that we raised before: how did it get that way? How is it that the town ever said okay or looked the other way, or I don't have any idea?
Because they had council members,
Really?
zoning members
No.
that didn't care. I know I opened a big can of worms. I apologize, but
No, that's a good thing. I mean, it's bad for you, but it's good for us, it's good.
I, for one, believe that this has to be straightened out. And if we get started on it now, we're going to have to look at the whole town. Every bit of it, every piece of it. And what I'm going to say right now is against what he was doing. I believe in exactly what he wants to do, and I between and on the other side of the road. I want to hear them right here and let them hear the same thing.
Sure.
That this isn't going to change anything that you have other than a business can go in next to you or across the street. You got a chance to be heard. They need a chance to be heard.
I got to speak with the Rock House owner today, and he just tickled. He said, finally, there's going to be lights behind me. I'm tired of getting ripped off.
Yeah, it's, I think they will all agree, but I think they have the right to be in here and know what's going on before it happens, right?
So Lee, I guess.
I wouldn't do it to you, I wouldn't do it to them either.
My question on that would be, so what Norman kind of, I think, related to what Norman said, and I apologize for getting into the tail end of this, but I was a little familiar with it prior to. Can we just, like tonight, so the proceedings going, like you said, so we can elect to change the zoning of that parcel alone only, and then, like Norman said, all the others would have to just follow suit, just like.
I think it's already there.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, I think that's following suit.
And it may have, should have been done, 4 years ago.
So the so just in the motion form, would I just address?
No, I think we have.
He's got cars parked on it at the present time, doesn't he?
No.
No?
They're acres right now. Or they're property there. But I think, what you're saying is what we have been discussing, and I think that's fair. But I don't, what you're saying is we don't really have a way to speed this thing up quicker than the.
No, that's not really what you mean, is it?
No, I'm just being,
You're just saying
I mean, we gotta follow the acre limits, but I mean, obviously, it's gotta start right here.
Yeah. I think if the majority of you are wanting to do what I've suggested, what has to happen tonight is a motion made to amend the text of the zoning ordinance to add under C1 and C2, new and used auto sales as a permitted use. And an ordinance or petition to amend the zoning map to rezone the property at 420 West Washington Street to C2. And what that will cause me to do then is to have to draft ordinances that will cause both of those things to happen. And then you will hold a public hearing on those ordinances at your October meeting. And then vote to send a favorable recommendation, if that's what you decide to do, on to the council, for the council to adopt, and then it's the meeting. And I don't know of any way to make that happen any faster.
I will make that motion that you just mentioned, as long as those folks are invited in here and know it before it happens.
Yeah, but we're just
I won't
talking.
vote on it until after these people.
Well, we're just, it's just one piece of property we're talking about tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, so it will not involve any other owners.
It won't change the zoning
We're
classification.
talking about Mr. Jenkins' property only.
Plan to build anything on it?
I'm going to clean it up and make that in the town look a lot better.
Okay, and that little barber shop is going to be office.
Office. They have a barber chairs one more.
Oh.
I can't get there.
Two barber chairs might be worth more than that.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
So I'll send a requisite notice and have the ordinances here in October. Okay, thanks. I know I don't think, it just is what it is. So it'll be a first step working on fixing it.
Do we need to get anything out to anybody else?
Or that they notices.
Any still have a question?
I don't have a question, I just have a statement, I don't know if that counts or not. There's one residential house across the street, up a little bit. Next to that, the next building is nursing home.
Group homes.
I only got one residential, well, maybe two, the Rock House, Roger. I know across the street, it is a residential house. Yeah, my is, my property is.
I don't think, you can't conduct a business there.
I won't conduct any business. I haven't sold a car in a month.
Okay.
It's part-time. I've got a year and a half to finish out my career with the state at 30, and that's where I want to be.
Okay.
Because I'll never quit.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Do we have, yes?
I do.
I'm ready.
Becky, Becky, do we need to discuss anything on 280 West Washington?
No, he told me never mind.
Okay with that?
Just
Yeah.
ignore that.
Got any other business to be discussed? Don't have anything on the agenda?
A new zoning map for the town hall?
Yeah, we're gonna get that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Bill.
If I could go down to Morgan County and pull the original zoning on that lot as commercial from 1981, will that let him fly under grandfather clause?
He's fine now.
I mean, it was in the 10 and 19.
We're gonna change it, it's gonna be done.
Yeah, but if it was already, wouldn't he be grandfathered in under the original? He wouldn't have to go through all this?
Well, I called Morgan County today and talked to 3 different places, 3 different people trying to verify, and they told me, we can't help you, good luck. Morgan County has their own zone. Anything that the county has.
It was changed in 1981 when they did the corner down there.
They gave the records to Morgantown.
Yeah, they're gone.
But I called down there and you may be able to pull that.
In somewhere,
It
or
was a total change. That was when they built GMGs and the lot down there.
Okay. And if there's evidence that it was an existing use, that was a pre-existing non-conforming use, maybe the exception you're talking about, that would be a way that it would be permitted. But as I understand it, if that was an auto sales use, that use was interrupted and stopped. And once that happens, then you lose that, what's called, grandfather or whatever. It's a pre-existing non-conforming use is the term, but you lose it if it's discontinued.
Does that happen to all the buildings? All the buildings that are registered commercial, when they pull out of there and somebody else moves into that shop, it's got to be redone?
If it's not zoned, no, not if they pull out, if they discontinue the use.
But
It's either sick or sorry. Go ahead.
Here's what I'm thinking, Joe. I see where you're coming from, but if Mr. Dinkins can live with what we're doing here, that's what we really need to do, because, we need to make sure we've done it right, and we don't want, somebody coming in here next week and saying, okay, I should be grandfathered. So if we do it right.
So that's going to entail rezoning all those properties from, because when
We don't know, Joe. We're looking at the map, and what Dan Bannon started, and we didn't realize he didn't get it finished, but what he started, we're gonna finish. And then we'll have everything right.
And for what it's worth, and I want you to know this, and the search can continue, I guess, but in looking back and wondering how this happened, we really have tried to find whether someone got a variance or there was a rezoning of that property somewhere and find a record of it so that first we could explain how it got to be the way, and secondly, to give you some license to go ahead and get started. But so far, nobody's found anything that will allow us to sort of...
It doesn't sound like I need to go for it. Because unless I have complaints with the surrounding neighbor across the street, it sounds like it's gonna fly.
No, it's not that, it's just that you could do it today.
Yeah.
But we can't find anything and Joe, if you find it, that's
I
okay.
think I can.
Yeah, he
I'd like
wants
to know.
to assure you that I have dug through every record in town hall.
They
They really have tried to figure out a way to tell you yes.
They done all that before they draw their building permits on that. And I can search it right through the building permits and then back to that zoning class.
If you find something, let us know.
Anything else?
I was asked to be here tonight by Tim, because I guess there's some concerns on the state of my house and what my plans are.
I don't think that would fall under, does that fall under us, or is that?
Well, not really, I guess, to the extent that, the difference is when the unsafe premises function was transferred from the plan commission to a separate commission, Tim being the enforcement authority, it really did remove that from you. So insofar as there's going to be any action taken by this body or enforcement, it won't. To the extent you want to just tell the planning commission who's interested in what's going on in town with Tim sitting here, because whatever you were going to say he needs to hear.
He's pretty sure he heard it. I mean, if everybody wants to be bored to death, I brought a Gantt chart that goes out to 2017 on my plans for that house.
What house in Where you are?
I live on the corner of Mulberry and, is that Adams?
Mulberry and Adams.
Yeah. Big, used to be White House, now it's white and kind of wood, and it used to have 4 layers of roof on it, and now depending on where you look, it's got anywhere from no roof to 4 layers of roof. I have not lived in the house continually since I purchased it. I did move back in June, and we're working on it. We're in the process of finding, the biggest problems I think for the city, because this goes through interior remodeling too, so I think as far as the town's concerned, they're worried about the roof and they're worried about the road appeal, whatever you want to say, the fact that it's not been painted in 100 years. Those should both be done before cold weather. We're working with a variety of banks to see where we can get the best rate, and we have applied to a couple that, well, we've talked to a couple different, we haven't applied except to one yet. We have picked a contractor. The top of the house is going to be metal, over the dormers is going to be metal, and the porch will be metal, and then down the sides, if you've seen the house, it has a, I don't remember what they call that style of roof, but the roof goes all the way down to the first floor, even though it's a 2-story house. Those are going to be done with what are called luxury diamond shingles, which simulate slate. So that will be done once we work everything out with the contractor and the financing. We're hoping to get that started. We know the financing from the people I talked to today. They said it's going to take us roughly 20 to 30 days to close that. So, and I'm wanting to get it done before bad weather. So I'm hoping October and November smiles on me rather than dumps on me. But Mother Nature has been pretty unpredictable here lately. So since I'm hoping for a long fall, it'll probably snow October 1st. But yeah, I'll give you this and several different files in here of research on that house.
They have what you have there, and what you two have talked, okay, and so and what you have in your report is issues that have to be fixed, to unsafe.
Right. Well, as of right now, there's no order written on his house, or there's a verbal agreement between him and I right now that he's working on a process.
Okay.
And I apologize. I thought we were having a.
Well, I saw that.
Not a problem.
But I mean, I kind of needed to know anyways, and I haven't been able to get hold of you, so it's.
Yeah. Well, I kept showing up every first Thursday all summer long to go, okay, no need it.
Anything else?
One other item.
What is it, Joe?
One other item. Sharon, would you please tell the board where you reside?
I reside in Browntown.
Correct, you can't
But I
serve.
have a home.
Doesn't matter, you have to be a resident of this town.
Is that right?
I do reside. So I can reside.
You live in Browntown? Well, you got married.
I got married.
You got married.
Yes.
Let me ask, how many folks, how many do we have here tonight? We've got,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
and everybody voted in favor of.
We have 8 total.
So, okay, so we had, even if we don't count your vote, we had